Welcome back to TV5 News at 9. It is time for our favorite segment, Education Matters. We are here with Dr. Craig Douglas. Thank you so much for being here this morning, Dr. Douglas. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoying this weather, that's for sure.
Yes.
Dr. Douglas, we are talking today about some of the top issues facing schools, educators, and parents after this past year with the pandemic. Health and wellness is a top concern for many. So, Dr. Douglas, what are some ways that COVID may affect children, both physically and mentally, even as we start to return to normal?
Yes, a huge challenge for educators, parents, and of course for the children themselves. First of all, there's the physical aspect of wellness and in the rollout of vaccines now for younger recipients is a big decision for parents to make and for schools to wrestle with. And I'm very interested in how this plays out moving forward. You know, as a kid, I was involved in one of the first rounds of the polio vaccine when it rolled out. And this is kind of reminiscent to me a little bit. And, you know, it's a very personal decision, but it's a big decision for the health and safety of our children. And then tied with it is the mental challenges that children and their parents and their teachers face. It's hard to gauge how the trauma of the pandemic will play out moving forward. There's a pretty well-known study that was done a few years back of the grandchildren of Holocaust victims. And I don't mean to draw parallels to Holocaust and the pandemic, but the idea of the trauma from the Holocaust actually was passed down genetically to the grandchildren of the victims. And if there is any credence to this possibility that trauma could be passed along to future generations, we're really on the brink of a huge challenge, I think, for generations to come. But with all the information we have and the expertise, Colette, I'm optimistic that we can address this trauma and help everyone, you, me, and everyone, cope with the trauma that the pandemic has brought about.
That's so true, Dr. Douglas. And I was just reading a study about girls 12 to 17 in that age group. The rate of suicide is up in that group. And it just goes to show you that we need to really look at these warning signs and make sure we get help for our children because they're affected by this.
Absolutely. Use the resources that we know we have, right?
That's right, Dr. Douglas. Another issue is the literacy level of students right now. Even in today's world, learning to read remains a critical issue facing education. So how can we start our schools to help them address this problem?
Yeah, it's a pretty big paradox for me. Here we are in the modern era with all the resources that we've aforementioned, and yet we still have literacy challenges. So the web is full of resources and ideas. One article claims that the United States ranks 14th in the world. Hard to believe, not sure it's valid, but yet the point is we need to do all we can to promote literacy. So perhaps we start by owning it and recognizing that the challenge is out there and address it child by child, family by family, by valuing books, discussing topics found in them, developing a true passion and love and curiosity through reading, keeping momentum found in early grades, because we know young learners love to learn to read and they accelerate and they can't get enough books. Keep that momentum going through upper elementary and beyond. Personally, Colette, I think part of it is having an expectation for lifelong learning. The idea that learning doesn't stop at a particular grade, that it continues on. There's post-secondary learning options that continue on for all of us as adults, right?
That's right.
So this spirit can help, I think, promote the need for literacy and the momentum for it.
Dr. Douglas, we talked about that Tales and Tales program at the Saginaw Public Schools, the libraries there, the Saginaw Public Libraries. I actually signed up my little ones for that, my high schooler and middle schooler. So we will get out of that slump, you know, keep reading, keep learning throughout the summer.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, and I'll be curious of your perspective on it. I think it's very energetic program.
And they have so much fun going to the library looking for different books, the topics they love. So I encourage everyone, the parents, get out there, go to the library, and get your students learning and reading this summer. Also, you know, Dr. Douglas, education has endured countless funding challenges in recent years, as well as a teacher shortage. Dr. Douglas, we had a story today that an influx of teachers are actually leaving the profession. That's so sad to hear. Too much stress. So what are some of the ways we can encourage our teachers to stay in the profession? We need them. We love them.
Well, I saw the piece that you aired,
Yes.
and I commend you for identifying it as a challenge. Again, kind of like the literacy, I think we've got to identify teacher shortages as a challenge, and we need to collectively address it as a society. The shortage of certified teachers didn't happen overnight. It's fueled by many factors, including the eroding of respect for teachers over time, the increasing demands placed on them by society.
Wow.
If there's one silver lining in this pandemic, Colette,
Yes.
it's that I think the respect for teachers has elevated. I've heard many commentators, many parents comment that the teaching is so hard,
Yes.
that the teaching remotely was so hard. And so there's been a really nice rebound of respect for educators, in my opinion. So I think what we need to do is pull together, work on policies and practices that promote the field of education, and to do all we can to make sure education is stable. You know, we've
Yes.
gone through periods of time during my career where education's been volatile. We've had very extreme situations. You know, back early in the day, it was teacher strikes. Then later on, it was funding shortages and school closures and low test scores and all these things. And they're real problems, but yet the big problem
Yes.
is we need to be supportive of our children and our teachers. They truly are trying to do the best they can, especially coming out of this pandemic.
And I can't speak highly enough of our teachers. They have really been our partners through this, have gotten us through the pandemic, and really helped our children to succeed. They're always available for questions and extra help. So we have to appreciate what they've done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're really heroes
Yes.
in this whole pandemic. And coming out of it, the passion for teaching will not diminish. It will only accelerate, and the need for teachers will never be greater than it is right now. So anyone that's thinking about perhaps a career change or a career shift to education, I would encourage it.
Well said, Dr. Douglas, like always. Thank you so much for calling in today. We appreciate and value your information. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Be well.
Oh, enjoy the sunshine today, Dr. Douglas.
Absolutely.
Okay, now for more information about today's topic, check out the school source page. That's at WNEM.com.